Bonjour everyone, this is book 1, which is we are going to deal with contributions of Ferdinand, the Saussure and Noam Chomsky to the scientific understanding of human language. So language is one of the most fascinating and complex human abilities. Understanding how it works has been a major focus of study in linguistics, the scientific study of language. Two of the most influential figures in the development of modern linguistics are Ferdinand de Saussure and Noam Chomsky. Although they lived in very different times and had different approaches, both contributed profoundly to how we understand the language as a system and a mental capacity. Their ideas transformed linguistics into a rigorous scientific discipline. So Ferdinand Saussure, the father of modern linguistics and structuralism, Ferdinand de Saussure, 1857, was a Swiss linguist who laid the foundation for modern linguistics and semiotics. Semiotics is a science of meaning, the study of signs. So he is often called the father of modern linguistics because he shifted the study of language from historical comparisons to examining language as a structured system. Saussure's work was published in posthumously and influenced many many fields beyond linguistics, such as anthropology, study of humans, literary theory, philosophy, and communication studies. So number 1 is language as a system of signs. Saussure introduced the idea that language is made up of signs, each composed of two parts: the signifier, the form of a word or expression, its sound or written letters. For example, the sound or the letters cat form the signifier. They signified the concept or the mental image the signifier represents. In this case, the idea of a small furry animal, whatever you can think in your mind, is a signified. Both these put together is the sign. So language is a study of signs. That's what he says. Importantly, Saussure emphasized that the connection between the signifier and signified is arbitrary. That means meaningless. There is no inherent or natural reason why the word cat should represent that animal. Instead, this link is a social agreement within the language community. We have decided that it should be called cat. So different languages use different signifiers for the same signified concept: cat in English, gato in Spanish. This insight helped linguists understand that language is not about direct representation, but about a system of differences and relationships between signs. 2. Understanding meaning through differences. One of Saussure's key ideas is that words and meanings gain significance not in isolation but through their differences from other words. So we understand the meaning of hot because it is not cold. So the opposite also is there in our mind. So, and day because it is not night. So language functions like a game where each piece's meaning depends on its relation to the other pieces. So what it says is, so we understand it because of the difference that our brain can think. That's what he says. So language versus parole, system versus use. So Saussure distinguished between two aspects of language: long versus parole. Long, the abstract systematic rules and conventions of a language shared by a community, and the underlying system or grammar. Parole is the actual speech and utterances people produce every day communication, which may vary and sometimes break the rules of language. He argued the linguistics should focus on studying long, as it reveals the structure and rules of a language, rather than on the messy, variable usage of parole. So if at all we have to say parole, it is like something, you say, maybe use a hi dude, the word is dude. So mainly in linguistics, long is a structured, proper language. Parole is what the speech community uses. So what is synchronic versus diachronic linguistics? Saussure also made a crucial methodological distinction. Synchronic study, examining language as a specific point in time, like a snapshot. Diachronic study is studying how language changes over time, like a video. So basically, let us take for example, over the period of time, in the earlier days, in the Bible times, we used to say you as thou. Then we changed it to you. Then in the latest WhatsApp messages, we are just getting you as one tiny you. So diachronic study is study of how thou became one tiny u, one letter u, how it became like that. That is diachronic study, studying how language changes, how the word you changed over the period of time. Synchronic study is examining language at the specific point in time. So how do you say you in WhatsApp language? You. That is the synchronic study. So he favored synchronic linguistics for understanding language structure as it exists in the present, which had a lasting impact on structuralist approaches. So he says, let us concentrate more on synchronic than on diachronic. So let us examine language at the specific point in time. So what about fifth one, foundation of semiotics? Saussure model of science influenced the field of semiotics, the study of signs and symbols in language, culture, media and art. For example, a red traffic light is a sign that means stop, not because of any natural connection, but because of the social convention. So everyone decided, illustrating Saussure's idea of arbitrary signs. So now we go to Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky, father of modern linguistics and cognitive science. Noam Chomsky, born in 1928, is an American linguist, philosopher and cognitive scientist who revolutionized linguistics in 20th century. That is all the 1900s. Unlike Saussure, who emphasized language as a social system, Chomsky focused on language as an innate mental faculty. He proposed that the ability to acquire language is hardwired into the human brain, leading to a new field called generative grammar. So language is inborn. The language acquisition device, that is LAD. It says that language is inborn. So Chomsky argued that humans are born with a special biological capacity to learn language called as the language acquisition device, which is already in our brain. This explains why children can rapidly learn complex grammar without formal instruction, simply through exposure. For example, a baby in Japan naturally learns Japanese, while a baby in France learns French despite the differences in language. This innate mechanism helps children generate and understand sentences they have never heard before, highlighting the creative aspect of language. So what is to universal grammar? Chomsky proposed a theory of universal grammar, which suggests that all human languages share a common underlying structure or set of grammatical principles. Despite surface differences, languages have similar components such as the distinction between subject, verbs, object. For example, in English, the sentence I eat apples follows a subject-verb-object pattern. In Spanish, yo como manzanas follows the same pattern. UG, what is UG? Universal grammar explains these similarities and helps linguists understand language acquisition and cognitive structure. What is competence versus performance? This is Chomsky's idea. Chomsky distinguished between competence and performance. Competence, the idealized, internalized knowledge of language rules and grammar that a speaker possesses. Performance is the actual use of the language in real life situations, which can include errors, hesitations, or incomplete sentences. For example, a person might say she don't know nothing in casual speech, but their competence tells them the correct form is she doesn't know anything. So that is performance and competence. Fourth one is transformational generative grammar. Chomsky developed transformational grammar, a set of rules that describe how simple sentences can be transformed into complex sentences, questions or passive voice forms. For example, the statement cat is sleeping can be transformed into question, is the cat sleeping? Or into passive, the sleeping cat is being watched. This framework explains how students produce an infinite variety of sentences from a finite set of rules. So, critique of behaviorism. Behaviorism. In 1950s, many believed language was learned through imitation and habit, like behaviorism. Chomsky challenged this by showing that children often produce sentences they have never heard before, meaning language learning cannot be explained solely by imitation or reinforcement. So, comparing Saussure and Chomsky, what is the view of language? Saussure's view is it's a social system of science. Chomsky's view is it's an innate mental capacity. Saussure's focus is it is a structure of language in society. It is long, that is the structure of proper language. The focus is how language is acquired and processed in the brain. The focus in Saussure's study is method is analyzing relationship between signs. Here the method is describing mental grammar and universal rules. The key concept is signifier and signified and the arbitrariness. Here the universal grammar, competence versus performance. So approach to study, synchronic approach to study, language at one point in time. And here it is cognitive and generative grammar approach to study. So lots of grammar. Noam Chomsky is concentrating more on grammar. Saussure is concentrating more on sign and how it is at one particular point in time. So why do their contributions matter? Saussure helped linguistics move beyond studying language history into examining how language functions as a structured system. His ideas on signs and the social nature of language paved the way for semiotics and structuralism. Chomsky transformed linguistics into a cognitive science, showing that language is rooted in human biology and mental structures. His work led to new fields like psycholinguists, computational linguists, and influenced language teaching methods worldwide. Together, Saussure and Chomsky laid the scientific foundations that enable us to understand language as both a social phenomenon and a biological faculty. Thanks to them, linguists became a real science. Linguistics became a real science, one that reveals how humans communicate, think, and learn through language.